Hello guys, in this video we will work on a waypoint system for our NPC or enemy player. Okay, so in this video we're just gonna start with controlling the waypoints and adding the waypoints to the scene. To get started, let's first, I have moved the cubes around a little bit. If you did it as well, you probably have noticed that the nav mesh is not updated. So if you have changed your stuff around in the scene, don't forget to bake it again. Okay, so I'm gonna put it back here and don't have to bake. One more thing I forgot to mention in the previous video, if you look at the camera script here, the third-person camera, and you probably still have your camera update here instead of a late update. What this I changed it to late update because if you look at it now, it can be a little bit laggy, your camera. And if you change it to, and it's sometimes better noticeable in full screen, but if you move your camera update to late update, then it will smooth out the camera movement again. That's because we have changed to the character controller. Okay, well, with that said, let's start with the waypoints. Let's first start with our controller for it. So it's going to be our waypoint controller. And let's also make a class for our waypoint itself. Okay. Now let's open up the waypoint controller. Okay. So when it's loaded, let's remove everything we don't have. And we're gonna assign an array of waypoints. Or instead, we're not gonna assign it, we're gonna get them from the children. And we also have our current waypoint index. Let's set it to -1. Because when we start with getting our first waypoint, we're going to add 1 to the index, and then it will go to 0, so that will be our first waypoint. Okay, so in our void await method, we're going to say waypoints equals to get components in children, so it gives us the array of waypoint. So it will get all the waypoints. So it will get all the components with the waypoint class. Yeah. We also made a public method to change to a next waypoint. So let's call this set next waypoint. And then we say our current waypoint index increment by 1. And then we check if we're not going out of bounds. So if our current waypoint index equals our waypoint's length, then we say our current waypoint index equals to 0. Now this is if we are looping. Now we are assuming we will always loop through our waypoints. Okay. Now we probably now we need to change our waypoint. So now basically we have added our waypoint index, but we want to return the waypoint which we have set. Now instead of returning it in our method, we're going to use an event for it. So let's make a public event, system action, and let's return the waypoint, which is the next waypoint. Let's call this on waypoint changed. Now when we have when we are setting a next waypoint, we're going to check if it's set, if it's null or not null, and then we say on waypoint changed, and we're going to add the current the waypoints, and then the current waypoint index. Yeah. So this will give us the new waypoint to whatever is subscribed to this event. We might be nice to draw the waypoints in the gizmo with the gizmos in the editor. So let's make on draw gizmos. So we are able to see where our waypoints actually are in the scene. Let's assign it a color, maybe color blue. And then we're gonna say for each far waypoint in. Now, yeah, we cannot use this waypoint variable because this is not, wake is only called at runtime. So we don't have any waypoints in the editor. So to change this, we're gonna make a method here. Let's call this, it's a private method. We'll return an array of waypoints, get waypoints, and this will return this part. Yeah. Now, in our awake method, we're gonna make use of this method, but also in our onDraw gizmos, we're gonna do it as well here. So let's say far. No, we can do it here. Yeah, get waypoints. We don't need a variable for it. So it will loop through our waypoints, and then we say gizmos. Let's draw a wire gizmos, draw a wire sphere with the center of the waypoint transforms position and a radius of maybe 0.2. Okay. Let's go back to Unity and close this up. Let's create a new empty game object. Let's call this a waypoint container, and let's put it at 0, and let's add our waypoint controller script to it. Now nothing seems to happen. Now if we add a new child, let's call this waypoint, and we're gonna assign the waypoint to this and the class to this one. You can see it has drawn our gizmo here. Yeah, it's looked like a sphere. Yeah, I thought it was a wire sphere. Now if we duplicate this, if we put it here in front of our enemy player, if we duplicate it and we can move it around, it will automatically show our waypoints. Yeah. Now let's make a few waypoints. Now, and what I immediately see is that we are not really knowing which path the waypoint is. I mean, right now we know it's going to be like this, but if we draw lines between them, it's more easy to see the direction of the waypoints. Yeah. So what we're going to do to draw these lines, we're going to say factor 3 previous waypoint. Let's assign this to factor 3 0. Here we say if previous waypoint not equals factor 3 0, we're gonna draw a line here from our previous point to the current point. So let's first make it a variable for the current position. So let's make a factor 3 waypoint position equals to the waypoint position here, and let's waypoint position. So if it's not 0, we're gonna say gizmos draw line, which takes a factor from, and we're drawing from our previous waypoint. We're going to draw towards our waypoint position. And then we're going to say our previous waypoint equals to our waypoint position. Let's see if that works. There we go. So now you can see the line appearing. So if we duplicate the last waypoint, you can see the line. Yeah. Let's make a few more here. Maybe like this. Okay. Now, So this will work for our waypoints, and now we need something to follow our waypoints. So we're going to make a script for patrolling. So let's add a control script for our waypoints for the NPC player. So let's create a new script. Let's call this enemy patrol, and we're going to make use of the of the same pathfinder which we used previously for our scanner. So we're going to say require component type of pathfinder. Get rid of this, and then we're going to assign the waypoint controller. Let's call this waypoint controller. Okay. Let's also make two variables for how long our player will wait at the waypoint before continuing to the next one. So let's make a float wait time min, and let's also make one float wait time max. So we're gonna take a random value between these two, and let's make a reference to the pathfinder here, a variable for it. Now in our start method, we're gonna first, when we start, we're gonna say our waypoint controller. We're gonna say just set next waypoint. To get started, we're gonna immediately activate the waypoint controller. Okay, now in our awake method, we're gonna first get a reference to the pathfinder. Get component pathfinder. And we have this method on destination reached in our pathfinder, and we're going to make use of this one here. So when we reach our waypoint, we're gonna move to the next waypoint, or at least set the target to the next waypoint in a random time between these two values. Yeah. So let's assume we are patrolling. Yeah. And looping all the time. So let's make a game manager instance timer add, and we're going to add a waypoint controller, set next waypoint, and a random range between our wait time min and wait time max. So this will, when we reach our destination, we will immediately create a new timer to go to the next waypoint within this time range, a random time range. Okay. Now, I think we need one more thing here. If we go to a waypoint controller, we have this method we did on waypoint changed. Let's add this as well, and this returns our waypoint. And then we're gonna say pathfinder set next target, I believe. Yeah, set next target to our waypoint. Transforms position. Yeah. So what basically happens when the waypoint controller changes his waypoint, we get it back here, and then we're gonna set the target of our pathfinder. Yeah. So then it will start moving towards our destination. Let's see if this does what we want. If we go to our player, let's disable the scanner so that won't start our pathfinder. And let's assign the animate patrol. Let's wait a minimum of 1 second and a maximum of 3. Something is not going right. 27 waypoint controller. It seems to be. I don't think we have assigned it. No. Let's assign the waypoint controller here. Let's give it another try. There we go. Now you can see it moving to our first waypoint, and then sliding to the next waypoint. We're gonna fix this. And then moving to the back waypoint and then moving half backwards. That's the way, because we animate the wrong way, set the values wrong. But you can see what it does. It will move to our waypoints and wait there for a few seconds and then move on to the next waypoint. Yeah. Okay, now as you saw, if you open up the enemy player, I was using the velocity here to animate our the model, but I assumed this was a relative movement, but it's not the case. It's world space. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna change this, we're gonna remove it here from our enemy player, swap the animator over to a different class, and then make use of the velocity of the transform. Yeah. So let's make a new script here again. Let's call this enemy animation. Maybe we can use, we're using the same name as we did for the player animation, animation. Yeah. Okay, now with that open, let's also make use of the Pathfinder to get a reference to the agent type of Pathfinder. Yeah. Now let's serialize the animator and make a waypoint target, so the target of our waypoint. And I'm seeing, are we going to use it? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to use the waypoint here. So let's only use the factor 3 last position. So last position to calculate our velocity from the previous frame. Yeah. So, and also our Pathfinder. Now in our awake, again get a reference to the Pathfinder. I'm not making a reference to the Pathfinder of the enemy class because we probably use this in different ways too, and not explicitly using the enemy player. Yeah. Okay, now we had a reference to our Pathfinder. Well, what you're going to do in our update method, we're going to say animator set float vertical, just like we did before, and then we're going to assign the velocity of our transform. Yeah, to get that done, we're going to say float velocity, and to calculate the velocity is actually transform's position and remove the last position. And let's get the so we subtract the last position, so we get a calculation from that, and let's get the magnitude, which is actually the length of the vector, and then we're gonna say we're gonna divide this by time, delta time. Yeah, so this is basically our velocity. Now if we assign this to our, don't forget to assign the last position, which is transform's position. So it's important that, of course, this comes after this line. Yeah. Now if we simply assign the velocity here, and we are going back to the enemy player, and we're going to remove the update method here, and we can also remove the animator from the enemy player. Now back to the enemy player, and let's add the animation. We need to assign the I thought we needed to assign, I have to save it up. We have to assign the animator here, so let's assign the animator from the enemy player. Now we're forgetting anything. Oh yeah, what I was trying to say. So we are now just getting the velocity. Now if you look closely to our enemy player, come on, look at his feet. You can see him like walking and turning at the same time, so it looks a little bit weird, you know. It's not very looks a little bit weird. So what we're going to do, and that's why we need to get the reference to the Pathfinder here, we're going to divide the velocity with the agent's speed. Yeah. And now you can see, hopefully, that it will turn a little bit more normal. So it turns before the velocity kicks in. See? It's far from perfect, but this I think this is okay for now. Yeah. Okay. So this I think we are pretty much there now. I don't think we have forgotten anything. So now you are able to move your enemy player over a control waypoint path, and yeah, it will keep on going. I think let's make a few. Let's remove a few just to make sure that it loops from this one back to the first one. And then we are all done for this video. There we go, it goes back, and it will continue until the end of days. Okay, well, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.